Good morning and welcome to the webinar Mastering Integration, Strategy, Selection and Success Stories. My name is Dennis Zachariasen and I'm one of the co-founders here at BizBrains. At BizBrains we are very passionate about digital integration and helping businesses establish stronger connections with their trading partners. This commitment has led us to create our very own integration platform called Link, which empowers businesses to assume complete control over their B2B integrations. In this webinar, we will look at essential integration concepts and what it means in the real world. We'll look at how you align integration ambitions with organizational goals, and also we will share a guide with steps to effectively evaluate integration platforms. But first, some practical information. We encourage you to be active and use the Q&A section in Zoom to ask any questions that you might have. I'll try to merge them into the presentations, or otherwise we'll take them at the end. I have a screen right here outside the picture with the Q&A open, and I will keep an eye, so if you see me do like this, it's because I'm checking for questions. And also I have here in my ear our producer, Mai, who will also remind me if I miss something. So please post your questions in the Q&A, not to be confused with the chat. It's the Q&A where you should post, and then I will see it here. Another common query we receive is whether we'll be sharing the presentation, and the answer is, of course, yes. Following the webinar, everyone will receive an email containing links to both the recording of the webinar and the presentation slide. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce my co-host, not guest this time, but co-host, a fellow integration enthusiast.
Hello, guys.
Mikkel Iversen.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you for having me this time. Always nice to be back at the studio. So,
Good to have you.
Thank you. A few words about Redpill Linpro. Yeah, we're actually a Swedish company with a lot of people in Sweden and Norway, and also 2 offices here in Denmark. And we are extremely focused on integrations, on what we think is by far the best platforms. We have some partnerships that we are extremely happy about.
Good to hear.
Yeah, Link is one of them.
We just officially signed the papers recently.
Now you guys are also in the stable amongst the best integration platforms. So now we work a lot with integration platforms, API management, and the strategies and implementations around this, more from an A2A point of view. And that is, maybe we should start there. You started out by talking about B2B integrations, where Link is a super good product. But let me ask you, what in your world is the difference between A2A and B2B integrations?
Yeah, okay, I'll try and make it short because I actually fear that we could talk for the whole webinar about this. But to keep it simple, in my world, B2B is, of course, where the integration is between a system in your company and a system at your partner, which could be a customer, a supplier, a logistics operator, a bank, a authority, or something else outside of your company. So that is B2B. And traditionally, that has been very like document-based and asynchronous and so on. But these days, it can also be all sorts of other things, API-based and so on. And it can be more involved, and you can actually have a very close partnership. But let's just say it's integration between systems in different companies.
With the difference that, sorry, that is, B2B, you want it to be scalable, right? So you want to do the same integrations with many partners, because you can also do A2A.
Preferably.
Exactly. You could do A2A integrations across companies, but that would be deeper integrations and not based on these orders, invoices, and the standard documents that you want to replicate to like 1,000 partners. So that's also a huge difference.
I tried to keep it simple.
Oh yeah, sorry.
but that's true, because if you say, okay, B2B is one thing, A2A is another thing. If we try to keep it simple, then A2A would be A standing for application. It's typically an internal integration between, say, your CRM or your ERP or some portal that you build. So it's between applications. And most of the time it's inside your company. But then again, if we should make it a little more complicated, which you already started, then of course you can also do like the typical A2A style of integration between companies.
Yeah.
But then it gets blurry, and then it gets...
that's for another webinar, I think.
Yeah, that's for another episode.
All right.
So basically B2B, most of the time it's document-based, it's asynchronous. A2A, most of the time it's internal, it's more like chatty, it's more like... It's a bit tighter, maybe a bit tighter coupling, maybe. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Otherwise, Q&A, then we will get back to it. But I will just show you the agenda. So this is what we are going to talk about today: the power of seamless integration, designing a winning integration blueprint, and choosing the right integration platform. I get the sense of marketing at Redpill and maybe also marketing at BizBrains getting a little high on ChatGPT here. I don't know, but we will make sure that we'll break this down and explain it maybe a less poetic way.
Yeah, let's try to bring it down a bit.
You could call this maybe a corporate poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get to it. The power of seamless integration. And let's start with integration. We all know what that is, right? So one system wants to work together with another system. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Here's an example of a book. It's like this thick about
EIP.
Yeah, you read it, of course, from cover to cover. You do it regularly.
I know them by heart.
Yeah, of course. And here are some of the patterns from the book, just to show you that integration is many things. It's the portal that sort of aggregates backend systems and make them visible. And there's the shared function. It could be like calculating a price that you want to reuse from different systems. There's the distributed process, where you expose one process and one function, and then it's aggregated from different systems to support this service. And then you have replication. You want to synchronize between systems. That's also a kind of integration. You can see here it's between databases. Good old SOA or whatever that is called nowadays, but exposing like your different services in your company on a bus, and then accessing it in an easy way.
A funny thing, because when I first saw you wanted to bring this one, I figured, we are a little bit of the olden days. But the funny thing about the enterprise integration patterns is that although you have newer technology or patterns like microservices and the digital integration of that we've spoken so much about, which is a brilliant architecture, when you boil it down, you still use these new names, new functions. I wouldn't say just what do you call it, old wine on new bottles or whatever, but it's standing on the shoulders of the EIP still.
Sure, it's not actually a quite old book. This, and I just want to mention the last one, the B2B Classic. I already talked about that one, but it's right. We get new names. It gets a little. There's an evolution, of course, going on. But if you look at the SOA and the backend, that looks like microservice. It could be microservices. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. But of course, new things happen. It does.
It evolves.
But last comment on this slide is that integration that is really where you can make it different. The difference between a bad integration and a good integration, it's so big, because you have your envision your application landscape. Nice applications, purpose built, does the job, built for this task and this task and this task. Everything is good until you start to connect them. And you integrate them. So all the stuff between your beautiful applications, that's really where it can get pretty bad if you don't do it right. So I guess that's also why we love integration so much, it can really mean a difference. A well-built integration,
it
you
really
get,
ties the stuff together. It might not be sexy, but it's damn efficient if you do it right.
or maybe it is sexy. I don't know.
It is, of course, it is.
But that's the integration part of this statement of the power of seamless integration. So what does it mean that it's seamless? Actually, there is no such thing as a seamless integration with no seam at all, because it's one system and another system, and you kind of knit them together. There will be a seam, but the point is to have less of a seam. So the less seam you have, the better. But you will never get totally rid of the seam. So it's kind of like when you talk about serverless. There is a server, but you don't have to worry about it. It's like it's nothing to worry about, because it's really taken out of the equation almost. But so there's less server. In the same way, there's less seam, the better you do your integration. So just to go through these bullet points, loose coupling, my favorite of all time. If you can make two systems work together in a way where they don't have to know about each other's data models and insights and ins and outs, then you get a loose coupling. That's maybe number one, to get less seam. Then the second one, use standardized formats and data types when possible. For instance, in the B2B scenario, it's most often you can actually do this. Also in A2A, maybe sometimes you can do it. Do it if you can, because it's just so much easier than building these data types and formats from the bottom, and you have to agree with the integration system what to do. Number three, use some commonly used technologies. Don't get too exotic. Use REST, OAuth2, AS2, something that people know about and that has platform support and so on. I think these are good examples. I remember back in the day, maybe when we talked SOA and we did SOAP, and it got a little too complicated sometimes, especially if you added the security layer and so on. It was actually pretty complicated. So I think we are at a good place now with, for instance, these three technologies. So use something that other people might also know of. And then the fourth one, well-designed interfaces. So an interface is basically the way your system opens. The public interface is the way it opens to other systems. So preferably like a good set of APIs, having the right granularity. Don't just expose maybe the create, read, update, delete that comes out of the box. Build something nice outside, so you have a good interface to your system.
Coming back to the three-layer architecture, I would really recommend for everybody to find the Digital Integration Hub webinar we did, where we deep dived quite a lot into how to do this in a modern way, using three-layer API architecture. Digital Integration Hub, it's really, really a good way to implement these best practices, because you talked a bit about SOA today, and all of us who have been in the business for a while, we've really got some battle scars of implementing SOA. I think three-layer architecture and Digital Integration Hub is like the best of all worlds that we have so far. It's really good technologies that you can bring into play. And
I get here in my ear snail, or whatever it's called, reminding me to mention that this webinar you mentioned is on our website. Ooh. So go and look at that. It's interfaces. It's a huge topic. It's very, very interesting. It's also there's a lot of things to talk about there. But now you know. You probably already did. But that's my fourth bullet. The fifth one, good documentation. So when someone wants to integrate with you, then you can show them the website with the documentation, and they can go look for themselves. So you don't have to help them and explain everything. That's an obvious one. And the last one is also a seam that can be quite irritating, is that if something breaks in your system with regards to integration, then if it always has to be handled by the guy who built the integration has to look through logs and so on. That's really irritating. And if you can somehow work with when you make the integration, also give it a thought. How are we going to handle errors? How are we going to monitor? How are we going to make sure this is running as it should? And preferably in the same way across the different integrations that you have. That's really a way to get less seam.
That's actually often the driver for people calling us, saying, "Okay, we have a complex landscape, and we've done a lot of bespoke pod-to-pod integrations where this system is calling that system directly, and now this guy left, and we don't know what to do, and we have like 10 or 15 or 100 of these integrations. What do we do?" Well, let's start from the beginning and make an integration strategy, but we'll get back to that a little later.
Yeah, sure. And and look at Granny here. She's all for standards, and that may be old school, but look how strong she is.
You should put in a picture of me.
That's
but anyway.
yeah, that'll be the next time.
Yeah.
So now we have integrations that are seamless, hopefully. So what is the power of that? And there's a lot of power in that. I already touched upon it, and I'm not going to go through each one of these, but you can see for yourself from a technical perspective, there's a lot of power in having this flexibility to actually change a system without affecting all the others and so on, having consistent data and so on. And that gives the people that we serve, the business people, I tried to put I'm not a business person, but I tried to put a business perspective on things. Why is this a great thing to have good integration? And it is, because you get the agility when you go to IT and say, could you please digitalize this and that process? Then it's much more likely that you will get an answer, yes, we can, and it's not going to take a year because we have great integration, so we can actually fulfill your needs because we have to remember that we are here for the business people, and that's actually a topic for one of the next.
Yeah,
did you know that?
Yeah, the one. Yep, yeah.
You're in it.
Yeah, yes, I'm looking very much forward to it.
And also our good friend Torben is in it. It's actually his idea.
Yeah. Sometimes we get a little lost in technical niceness. I think that's his point at least.
That could be true.
Yeah.
So. And the last one in the invite, it was promised that I would say something, tell a story from the real world. But time is running, so I'll just mention that this is the drawing on the left is actually a drawing based on a real world scenario. We came to this customer, and of course. It was B2B because that's what we do. So they had like a system that were really not very seamless, actually full of seams, because that was is a big company, and they bought another company, and then they got some system, and then they built something on their own, and then they had some standards from out of the box systems, and it was all trying to work together to accomplish this B2B integration, but it was a little like to the left, it was a little scattered, and there were no clear interfaces, and both the people that you see, which are internal people, did see different things because they had different ways of interacting with the system, and also the partners symbolized with these little factories, I think it is. They were also integrating in not so seamless ways, and then we introduced Link, which is what we do. It could, of course, also be done in different ways, but this is what we do. And then we really got rid of most of the seams, and it's a more loose coupled, and there's more reuse and so on. I will not go into details here. If you want to hear more about it, just let me know afterwards. But time is running, and I want to hand over control to you. I'll just let you introduce your topic while I find it here on the PowerPoint.
Thank you very much. Well, the reason I've been working with integrations for more than 20 years, and I think maybe Dennis a few more years, maybe, is because it is the foundation for any digital initiative. I mean, you cannot do a digitalization of a process or a business flow without integration, because no process is an island. You need the data to flow between the systems and the processes to work seamlessly across systems and partners in different places in the world and in your business. And often when I get out to our customers, they say, oh, we want to buy a platform and we want to build these integrations because we have a technical issue. And I usually start out with saying, but why do you want to do this? What is the reason? What's the business driver for you guys to invest quite heavily into system integration? And more often than not, they say, well, it's a technical enabler because we need these data to go from here to there. And then we have a discussion about the strategy about this. And sometimes it involves into an integration strategy and even sometimes into a digital strategy. And these strategies are extremely helpful for the companies to make like a longer roadmap of what it is that they're trying to achieve, but also to find out why is it that we're actually spending so many resources on this, but also as a communication tool across the IT department and some pretty senior management people who doesn't understand the integration. It is, as I said before, not very sexy, but it's super important to really be on top of your integration game. So we do quite a lot of these integration strategies. It's not a huge project. It's like 20 to 30 hours or something like that, a few workshops, but it's really a focal point of the coming years' process within the companies. So that's sort of why it is so important to have this integration strategy. I'll try to go through on a high level how you develop your integration strategy and what it contains of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we dive into that, we have a little greeting here from our friend on Q&A, Torben. Just like looking in the mirror. Love it. Hi, Torben. Thank you.
And everybody else.
So I'll press this one.
Yes, there it is. Integration strategy, platform selection, and implementation. So if we start with the integration strategy, this is a real world example where from one of our customers, where we have on top the vision. What is the vision of building these integrations? Then we have the goals that support the vision, and finally we have the focus areas. So the vision is, in this case, integrated supply chain to enable IT-driven logistics. All right, that sounds kind of nice. Everybody wants that, especially if you're a logistics company. That's super nice. So in order to achieve that vision, you have some goals, which is capabilities that you need to be able to offer internally and to your customers. In this case, deliver integrations with speed. Often a new integration can take half a year or something like that, because there's a lot of lead time and communications going back and forth. We need to be efficient in doing this. And we need to modernize what we already have. And we want IT-driven customer engagement. So if we reach these three goals, then we support the vision, the digital vision of our company. But in order to achieve these goals, we have some focus areas. And now it starts to get technical. In this case, it's onboarding of new EDI partners and APIs. All right, that's something we can implement, possibly using Link. We need to be better at or building integrations in Azure in this case. We have identified a really strong need for a digital integration hub. And we need to do something about our organization. We need to be sure that we have the right architects, we have the right support setup, we have the right way to communicate between the IT people, our business, and our external partners. So there's a lot of organization always within this space. It's not only technology.
Can I ask you, because to get this cooperation going, do you have any experience who should be like
the stakeholders
I think of the day-to-day work? Is it a project manager from your side, or
the day-to-day work in developing the integration strategy, or
getting these people working together in a good way and facilitating and follow up and so on?
Well, often the facilitation part is done by me or one of my colleagues. We have this complete model of how to build this, and then the people joining in on the strategies is obviously the guy who's going to own the integration platform, and a few of the people who's going to work on the integration platform. but hopefully also someone with integration pains, someone who's really interested in getting to a different place than we are today.
Yeah.
Then we build this strategy, and then very often we pressure test it somewhere in the business. Someone who has been very unsatisfied or have huge integration needs, we go out and say, this is where we are right now with our integration strategy. Is this what you see as well, or do you have some comments? And that's a great way to do change management, because if there is a notion that integration is the place IT projects goes to die, then it's very good to go out to the guys who have this impression and say, we hear what you're saying, we'll try to change it doing this. What do you think about that? So it's not just for focusing on achieving this, it's very much also to get everybody on board on the journey of a better integration
So what I hear
system.
is that you will actually, maybe together with the integration manager or the person owning the integration platform on the customer side, you will lead the process.
Oh yeah. It's like a consultancy gig. I've done it many times, and as I say, it's not a huge project. 3, 4, maybe 5 workshops. That's it. Then you have something you can use.
Yeah, but that's a common concern from customers. Okay, yeah, that sounds nice. How are we going to do it? What is our part? Who will see to that that it actually gets done and we get a nice result that we can actually use to something. But
I think I'll just run it through it, because then there's some artifacts that you'll get out that you can use to do the communication. But first, how do we develop it? So the structure is that we start out with the key challenges and our strategic question. Why is it that we are here today? Why is it that you called me to change where I are on integrations today? What is the problem that you have in building digitalization and integrations? And what is it that you try to achieve? And these challenges give us the vision. We want to we want to keep our customers close and integrate it into our value chain, for instance. That could be a vision. It's surprisingly different visions, by the way. So these visions, they then sort of feed into these goals, because when we have the vision, which is often the most difficult thing to formulate, because there are very many interests into formulating this vision. When we have that, it's fairly easy to say, okay, if we need to achieve this vision, what goals do we need to have then? And what goals do we need to achieve? And then when we have that, then we sort of boil them down. Okay, if we want to deliver integrations with speed, then we need to be better at onboarding new EDI partners. We need to be very much better at integrating, in this case, using Azure. And we really need a digital integration hub, because we have, in this case, 7 different transport management systems that we need to speak in one language. So we use the digital integration hub to go from 7 systems into what seemed like one system. So we could really build fast integrations and hide the complexity using this hub.
I'm just feeling that maybe you should, the shortest version you can give what is a digital integration hub, because you mentioned it a few times, and I know the people who saw the webinar knows all about it, but there will probably also be people saying, what is he talking about? The shortest version.
The shortest possible version of the digital integration hub is it's a place where you can remove and hide complexity across systems. So you can go into a data model and an integration model that is completely detached from what's on the other side of it. So you can hide all your complexity and all your older, a bit shitty systems, maybe. You can hide that in the background, and then the digital integration hub will be the forefront of this, your integration or the company data model in reality. It's extremely powerful, and to be honest, it's not that complicated when you get started with it. The projects that we do on digital integration hubs are not huge. It's very it's a very what I call laser sharp system, especially into this. And it's not something that you buy. It's not you need to go out and select something from a vendor or something. Often we use it, build it on your existing landscape. If you have Azure, or AWS, or SQL databases, whatever, we can. It's an architecture more than it is a system.
And that's an important point, I think, because when you show it like this, you could think that it's just another platform,
another box.
But it's
part.
It actually consists of different.
Exactly, and
actually platforms.
Yeah, and it will be part of your. If you have an integration system already, the integration system will be the one that, or platform will be the one that ingests data into it and also consumes the data from the platform. All right, so then when you
can just let our viewers know that my microphone ran out of.
Okay, Dennis is back. Microphone ran out of battery, so I'm here all by myself telling stories while he's crawling around on the floor finding new batteries. But the description of focus areas, we had the vision, the goals, and then you have the focus areas. And this is where it starts to get tangible. So the focus area starts to get quite detailed. I'll show you one example.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Hopefully it works now.
Yeah.
Let me know if it works.
So the focus areas are the things that you need to implement, the things that you need to do. There's a lot of technology mapping into this. It's also where you define what you need to do about your organization. And when you have your focus areas, you can actually put it into a roadmap. So you actually get a project plan in the end of the strategy saying you need to do this, that, and that. And then you are in a place where you can actually fulfill the vision that you have for this digital transformation that you're on. So if we look into a focus area, we have one here, a description. What is it that we're trying to achieve from a non-technical point of view? It's important that the one paying this...
Could you make it smaller?
I have a lot of content.
You get the slides afterwards, then you will know what he's talking about.
Exactly. So we have a description. Then we have some goals and the values. Why is it that we want to do this and what's the value of achieving this focus area? Stakeholders, super important. Who will own this focus area? Who is responsible of driving it? Who's responsible of setting aside the resources to implement that? This is very important. Then you have your maturity levels. Where are we today? And where is realistically that we're going to get to? Nobody, or almost nobody, gets to a maturity level of 5. Somewhere in between, we are very bad today. We want to be meteor in a year or two's time, and that will be enough to achieve the vision.
Yeah, I'm curious to what defines the steps, but maybe that's too big a topic for now. But
or the different values on the chain. It's something we discuss in the workshop. It's extremely different. What does a 1 mean? What does a 5 mean?
Yeah.
Someone comes from absolutely nothing. Someone has been building integrations for 20 years. So it's bespoke from customer to customer. Mm-hmm. Then we have the existing projects. What have we already running that we could put some of this vision or focus area into? And what do we need to set aside of new resources, new projects, new initiatives that we need to do in order to achieve the maturity level that we want for this focus area? So this is the focus area for each of the focus areas that you have in your strategy. And then you can actually draw up a project plan saying these are the initiatives that are running now. These are the ones that we need to put in place. The plan looks like this, and then we'll be done in a year and a half or whatever. This is super important to have. You need the resources to it. You need to keep the focus because new stuff comes in all the time. You need to have the strategy hanging on your wall so you can say, this is what we try to achieve in order to support our digitalization efforts. So back to the strategy. What business benefits will we gain by doing this? That's the vision. So it's not very technical on this part. It's really why is it and how will it change our business? How will we be more data driven? How do we connect our supply chains? What competitive advantages will we get out of this? That's the goals. All right. Then we have technical, organizational, a competitive advantage, and some disruption elements as the focus areas. All right. I think that's it for the strategy. Very quickly run through. We can talk much more about this, but again, as I say, it is a very good starting point if you want to get in control of your integrations.
Thank you, and that finishes the second topic. And I think this is a good place to take a deep breath, take a cup of coffee, and then I'll ask our producer Mike to put on a poll that we prepared, so should show up in It's there. Okay. So take a time and give us your answer and grab a cup of coffee, and then we'll continue with the third one in a few seconds.
Oh, yeah, exciting.
Cheers.
Cheers in what must be cold coffee right now. Yeah, that was cold.
Yeah, let's. It's Mike telling me that there's only 10 minutes left, so so maybe we should let the poll run, and you do the last part, and then we'll get back to the result.
Let's do that.
So I'll put on the next set.
If you don't have an integration platform, or if you have something old and you need to change it, then a lot of people look up to Gartner or just receive some quotes from salespeople, and then that guy, for instance, and it's actually quite a difficult choice to make, and it's also a very important choice to make, because when you go down the route of an integration platform, it is extremely expensive to migrate from one platform to another. So to make the right choice is very, very important. And I've helped a lot of companies in doing that. So let's have a look on the process of doing that. And this is the very detailed one, where we run through different phases. We explore the needs. What business needs do we have? If we have the strategy, it's a good point to start, because you have a lot of your business needs already there in the focus areas. And then you do a technology mapping. Then you draw up your landscape, and then finally you implement. And what we get out of that is these spider webs, where you put in a platform, and then you have some different measurement points that you do, and you can then compare the different platforms.
Do we have time to read them? Because I think they might be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And it's difficult to read.
It's
maybe just the
ones. It could be something like, how good is this platform as message-based integration? Does it have ETL capabilities, API management, automation, developer enablement? What's the roadmap? What's the cost versus architecture? There's a lot, especially with the iPaces. You need to be extremely mindful of what's the cost driver of this platform. Can I just spend as much and build as much as I want, or does that destroy the business case completely? Then we have operations. How well does this operate? Do I need to set aside a huge DevOps team in order to have this running, or how is it to support the integrations here? Then we have market presence, which is actually quite important. There are more than 3,000 iPads vendors out there. So if I choose some crazy stuff from some exotic country, how will I be able to get people to work on this platform? And then I have a second opinion. What does Gartner, Forrester, and IDC think about this platform? That's also a factor into this. So these could be some of the factors that you run into. And beneath each of these, there can be 100 measure points, or something. It can be extremely detailed and some huge spreadsheets. And it has been some very large projects. And I've done so many of these that I figured out, why is it that we always end up asking the same questions, and we always end up evaluating stuff. So why don't I just take all the knowledge I have from all the different projects and combine it? And then what changes from customer to customer is, how important are these different factors to us? I know how good the platform is at citizen integration or transformation or monitoring and all that stuff. We've been working with all the platforms. So if I bring that to the table, then it's up to the customer to evaluate the importance of that.
I'm just I have a question, because I maybe it's my glasses, but I don't see the ability to handle data, like persisting data, in the integration platform.
Nope.
And I know you are. Is it too much to say you're a fan of that concept?
Yeah, and that's a good question. The thing is, the integration platform is not a digital integration hub. The integration platform is that's where you ingest the data, you expose and you consume the data from the digital integration hub. But the digital integration hub is, again, more of an architecture than it is a platform. And that's why it's not in the
So you could say this is actually to find out which platform or platforms should go into your digital integration hub.
Yeah, an important thing, not everything should go through a digital integration hub. You need a very good business case in order to do it. And not there'll still be a lot of standard integrations that you know, and then you have a few that will need the digital integration hub, and start out small and see the benefits and the business value, which can be quite tremendous. Last time, just real life examples, we promised that, and I'll just put them in right now. We had an example of a customer having data in the digital integration hub. Should we build the integrations of that data without the hub, it would take 20 days. And in this case, it took 2 days from need to a completed integration in production. We went from 20 days to 2 days calendar time. That's really, really fast. And we had the case from Danfoss, where the customers that used their digital integration hub and the APIs, it was able to expose the Danfoss revenue of these customers grew 9%. So it's really, really big business if you do this right. All right, back to the integration platform, because our tool looks like this. Again, a spreadsheet with all the different values. It's extremely detailed. There are hundreds of lines, very much work gone into evaluating these different platforms. And now someone out there in the world would say, okay, we just heard you confess, Mikkel, you are a fanboy. You like Link, you like MuleSoft, you like Azure, for instance. These are the platforms that, with your experience, you know you really like, and you like to work with those. But what about all the other stuff? And it's a fair point, because we can't work with everything. So what we actually did was we spent a lot of time prompting ChatGPT with all our different questions and metrics and all that stuff, because ChatGPT has read all the articles, all the forum posts, all the issues that's out there. It's really compelling, all the knowledge it has of a lot of different platforms, a lot of platforms we've never heard about before. So using this methodology, we can actually have that to do the evaluation. So it's not me who has done the evaluation or my people, it's ChatGPT. And then we have had a system specialist on each platform to validate this, just to make sure that ChatGPT is not drunk when it evaluates some random platform. And the truth is, so far, the changes done by the specialists have been very, very small and minute, and not changing anything. It's extremely precise. And the good thing is it takes the bias away and that notion. So what we have is the results looking like this. You have MuleSoft, you have Azure platform, and then we can have basically any platform that you are considering. We can put it into the engine and then have a discussion about that. And the things, this is not the selection that you need to do, but it's a very good starting point for the final discussion of which direction you want to go for this extremely important decision to get right.
How many slides do you still have? Because I have a very consistent voice in my ears saying we don't have too much time, and we have the poll that we need to look at as well.
This is how we implemented Implementation Zero. Call me if you want to know any more about it. We can do it fairly cheap.
Look up the old webinar.
Oh yeah, we have that. Is that in the Digital Integration Hub webinar as well, or is it?
I think it was a separate one.
Yeah,
as far as I remember.
We had one on. We have a webinar on the Implementation Zero. It's a very good and very condensed and again not extremely expensive way to get started. That was my final slide, Dennis.
And if that was a little too fast, then remember, you get the recording afterwards, and you can do it half speed when you have the time.
And you can always give me a call or an email. I love to talk about this.
Is that true?
Yes. Oh, so, that was a joke.
I'll just have a look over here to see if I can see the poll results. Sorry for looking away, but the winner is, and the question was, which statement is most accurate for your company's integration efforts, and the winner is system integration is vital for our digital vision and business growth. Congratulations. I think that was your favorite.
It was, but the problem with that is that we might be in an echo chamber here. The guys who you guys who wants to spend a morning on listening to this might be in a place where they know how important this is. That could that could be true. Yeah. Time is almost up, but I just if some of you, of course, if you are off to another meeting,
thank you and see you hopefully next time. If you still have some time, you can stay and post your questions if you have some. We'll just run for a few minutes more and see if some questions comes up. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening and viewing, and see you next time. But those of you who have the time to stick around for a few minutes.
Yeah, sure. That was nice.
Yeah. Did you say everything you wanted to?
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all. We'll do another one.
We always discuss how long this webinar should be. I vote for 4 hours.
Yeah, and marketing vote for 45 minutes.
Exactly.
But while we wait for maybe a question or two, just a word about the upcoming webinar with Torben, which we touched up on a little bit, because it's a bit of some of your points actually what do we say, folded out in a whole webinar. It's this topic of, are we just like crazy integration people doing this for ourselves, or are we really serving the business? Yeah. Could it be simpler? Could we? And Torben, I know he's going to take the position in challenging this. Could it be done more simple, more fast, and then still serving the business? And I think that's an interesting discussion. I know it's you and I know Torben is not very strict about this. Torben Eilerskov, but he agreed to take this position, and then I assume it's not difficult to talk you into taking the opposite decision, that you should really go all in on this platform, and I know that you are, of course, it's more nuanced also from your perspective, I guess. Yeah. But it's going to be an interesting battle, and then I will stand in the middle in striped referee outfit, and then we will see who's going to be maybe Torben or you will be the winner, or maybe it ends up with a big compromise. Yeah. I don't know, but we'll see about that. Yeah. No questions.
Extremely.
Do you have anything you want to say before we...
Well, only the discussion we had this morning about another topic that we should take up at some point was to have, like a look back into the rearview mirror and look at some of the epic failures that we've encountered during our lives. I mean, with all the battle scars that we have in this area, we should be able to tell some pretty funny but also expensive stories about how not to do this.
Sure. Yeah, that's. I think we should do that. So if some of you want to participate, let us know if you have any ideas for like epic failures in integration platforms. There has been some over the time that was just the next big thing, and then it wasn't. Then we'll make an episode about all these things that we thought were the new, or someone thought were the new. Big thing, and it wasn't. I think it could be quite funny to do that. But please, if you have some examples of that, or if you want to be a guest here in the studio, please let us know afterwards. Yeah. And then Mai says to me that I should mention that you're doing a podcast series. And that I might be allowed as a guest at some point.
Yes,
is that true?
Yeah, that is true. We have I think 150 different episodes. I've done quite a few migration series in the Digital Integration Hub and different things there, and we're going to talk about the ins and outs of EDI and B2B integrations and all that stuff. We'll have you in as a guest there. They're called IT Talks.
IT Talks. And it's on all the usual platforms.
It's on all your usual podcast applications, but also on redpill/linpro.com. You'll be able to find them there.
Yeah, and then look for the ones about integration.
Yeah, there's also something about DevOps and open source and other nice technologies. But yeah, integration is the most important thing.
Yeah, obviously. I hope that is clear, because it is.
Yes.
Okay, but thank you, everyone. If someone is still watching, see you next time.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas. Yeah.